The party pooper has arrived. There was a celebration yesterday. Actually, it was more like a fundraiser, I guess. Deacons at Woke United Methodist, they were raising awareness for the children. It's all about the children. Some doofus politician was standing behind the pulpit giving a passionate sermon on the importance of educating our children, explaining to parishioners how important it is to teach the kids the stuff that really matters. Important stuff like critical race theory or home economics teachers being properly trained on how to teach young women how to apply just for men. Biology class where students are taught how to remove the cucumber. You know, the important stuff. But this celebration of Wiener, it was rudely interrupted by a woman that you don't want to mess with. A woman who should scare the hell out of you. A woman who has spent her entire life dealing with grown men who throw fake punches while wearing Speedos. Or, as the deacons prefer to call them, tuck-friendly bathing suits. The party pooper yesterday, it was none other than Linda McMahon. You know, for most normal people, it is abundantly clear that the education system is broken. Graduation rates are down. We've got kids somehow graduating high school who don't know how to read. I heard one extreme case where some kid drove to McDonald's and tried to order Wiener off the menu because he couldn't read it. The kid thought he was at 5-Star Frank's because he did not know that the gigantic M on the front of the building stood for McDonald's. Hell, the letter M isn't even in the name 5-Star Frank's. But I'd be willing to bet that same kid, he is familiar with the letters LGBT. To make matters worse, we have kids who can't read that somehow obtain a driver's license. They can't read the damn signs on the road, but they're able to pass the driver's test? In my experience, the best education is experience. You know what I remember about high school? The memories, the parties, the blissful ignorance that you possess as a teenager, the spring breaks, the summer breaks. I remember the music of that time, the culture, the fights in school. But I don't remember a damn thing from the classroom. I don't remember anything I learned in algebra, and I haven't used algebra since I was required to pass some test. I don't remember anything from science class. Even though experience is often the best teacher, we can't change the fact that kids are required to go to school. So the only choice is to educate them in the best way possible. Clearly, what we have been doing the last 50, 60 years, that ain't working. The Department of Education is a huge embarrassing failure. And one of the main reasons the Department of Education is a failure is because decisions are being made for kids in El Paso, Texas by doofus politicians in Washington, hundreds, thousands of miles away. My first job out of college, it was at Fastenal, a Fortune 500 company. One of the first things I learned while working there is that it is best for decisions to be made locally. Even though the company is massive, even though Fastenal has tens of thousands of employees, the decisions aren't made at the corporate office in Winona, Minnesota. Decisions are made by the people working in the local branches. From my understanding, that is what the Trumper is trying to do with the Department of Education. He is trying to move the resources and the decision-making back to the individual states where it belongs. Now, of course, the deacons have a problem with this because Democrats always have a problem with anything that relinquishes control. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Yesterday on the second channel, talked about the tanking problem in the NBA. Pelicans have shut down Zion Williamson for the rest of the season, which was breaking news for most people since they didn't realize that Zion was actually playing. In the video, I predicted what would happen this offseason with Zion. One of my first predictions was that we would start hearing whispers about Zion's renewed dedication to conditioning. What happens this morning? Kendrick Perkins claims that his sources are telling him Zion is rededicated to his conditioning. If you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Yesterday, Melanie Stansbury, she was giving a press conference outside of the Department of Education building. Casey, who in the hell is Stan Mulberry? Mel is the House representative for the 1st District in New Mexico, wherever the hell that is. Last month, she went on a profanity-laced tirade against the Trumper on the issue of illegal immigration. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Democrats have ramped up the cursing lately. It seems to me that they are trying to emulate the Trumper. I guess they saw Donnie using words like hell and damn on the campaign trail. Maybe they thought the reason Donnie won the election is because he was using language that appealed to the cool kids. So over the last couple of months, the Democrats have increased their use of 4-letter words. Instead of waking up every morning chanting LGBT, they wake up with the WNBA on television and chant SHIT. Yesterday, Mel Stansbury, she's giving a press conference outside of the Department of Education. They had just finished a closed-door meeting where they were discussing important things like mythical racism and the importance of teaching kids about the systemic racism plaguing America. After the meeting, there was a crowd outside waiting with anticipation for the great one to speak. My inside sources on the scene were telling me that the crowd resembled the hyped crowds that we're used to seeing in the WNBA. You couldn't count by the dozens because there wasn't 12 people there, but that's okay. Mel was not going to allow the diminished size of the crowd to prevent her from speaking about the importance of education. As Mel was beginning to speak, music began playing in the background as a loud voice emanated from the speakers. No chance! That's what you got! Now, those who watched the WWF in the late 90s, we immediately recognized the song. It was the entrance music for Vince McMahon, but it wasn't Vinny who showed up to crash the party. It was the much more scarier McMahon. It was Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon stepped outside and she told Mel Stansbury to get the hell out of the way so she could overcome this blatant propaganda with the truth. Watch for yourself.
She's here. Perhaps I should give her the podium. With all due respect, madam, I think my biggest concern is that the states will not be able to protect the programs and services that you would like to devolve with them.
That this is not a partisan issue. This is about the children of America, and it's the next generation, the generation after that. And if we want to have our leaders, if we want to have that next group of engineers and doctors and lawyers and plumbers and electricians and HVAC operators, then we need to focus on how they can best have their education. And I believe, and I know the president does believe this as well, the best education is that is closest to the child, where teachers and parents, local superintendents working together, and local school boards to develop the curriculum for those students.
First of all, I'm not sure what programs Melanie Stansbury is talking about protecting. And look, I am no expert when it comes to educating kids, but over the last 5 or 6 decades, it seems like we have put the responsibility on the school to teach and provide things that the kids should be learning and being provided at home. No child should have to worry about food, but at the same time, it's the parent's responsibility to feed the child. Shouldn't be the school's responsibility to make sure that your child has money for lunch. According to the most recent data, it costs the government over $16,000 every year to educate one student. What are we receiving in return on that investment? Kids who are being indoctrinated with DEI training, kids who are learning critical race theory, kids who are taught the alphabet by singing LGBTQIA plus at sign K identifies as Ray. We have students who can diagram gender, but they can't diagram a sentence. We have kids entering the workforce who can't put together a resume. When someone asks for a resume, a lot of these kids think they're asking to resume. What does he mean, resume? Resume what? I haven't started the job yet. One of my biggest problems with the public education system, and this is from elementary school all the way through college, one of my biggest problems with the education system, we are teaching kids to be employees instead of teaching them to be employers. Last night, my mom was talking about my nephew's school. Like most grandmothers, she was gushing with pride about the school system. She was bragging about the school system and how they teach all the kids to be good little Spartans. Let's hold hands and be Spartans together. We're all the same. Part of me understands it. They are trying to teach kids to work together. They are trying to implement school spirit. But at the same time, they're not teaching them to be individuals. The public school system is all about the collective. It's all about we instead of relying on me. Like I said, I am not the expert when it comes to educating kids. And I know not everyone can be employers instead of employees, but the education system, it seems to overlook potential employers to cater to potential employees. It's a one-size-fits-all model, and that's just not how life works. That's not how it works in the real world. Give me your thoughts on this. Linda McMahon crashes the party. She's the party pooper and moves Melanie Stansbury to the side to speak the truth. Me personally, I think Linda McMahon is an excellent choice for the Department of Education. Vince McMahon receives most of the credit for building the WWF, but Linda McMahon, she had just as much to do with it. Should the Department of Education be abolished and decisions be localized? Should individual states be making these decisions instead of decisions being made on a federal level? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.